Hello, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Margaux with Margaux. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? Today is April 2nd, Wednesday, hump day. Hello. Let's go ahead and toast for another wonderful day in your life. Today is Wednesday. This is a 200-year-old glass. My husband's family, he's always a little nervous. He's always a little nervous that something will happen to this glass, but nothing so far has happened. It's a gorgeous cup, as you can see. Love you guys too. Let's just go ahead and have a toast. Happy Wednesday. Hope you've had a good week so far. Take a deep breath. It hasn't been easy, but here we go. Bonsoir. Chateau. Let's go. Mm. That is simply divine. That is absolutely wonderful. You know, out of all the businesses, I don't know if you guys noticed, but out of all the businesses that are successful, guess what business is really hot right now? There's two, just as a side note. Alcohol. People are drinking alcohol because what else is there to do when you're quarantined? I don't drink that much alcohol, just a little sip here and there just before dinner, but not too much. And just enough to feel really good. So here we go. And another industry that's really taking off, it's kind of X rated, but you guys could probably guess what that industry is. Another industry that's taking off. So just tells you what we're focused on and what's going on. So, well, every day I get up and I do my little meditation, do a little reading. And unfortunately, I'm always been a kind of a data person. Always love the news. So because I work in many different industries, I always want to know what's going on. Very curious, always nosy, want to know who's doing what and what's going on. So, but unfortunately, with the coronavirus, I end up getting in the morning and look at, unfortunately, the number of people who, hey, hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Unfortunately, when I wake up in the morning now, I look at how many people have passed away. And it's just daunting, horrific numbers. Um, I'm not aware of how many people actually die of other diseases every day, but unfortunately, that's a reality. But because coronavirus has impacted our lives and we're all affected by it either indirectly or directly, and sort of the pulling the rug of your whole existence, you look at the number because it affects you and what we're going to do. Is the economy going to come back? What's the story? Whole bit. But I do have to say, I'm very sorry to hear about the number of people that are inflicted with coronavirus, and it's just tragic. When you hear of 1,000 people in one day have died, it pretty jarring numbers. Those people are possibly there's a mom, there's a sister, a brother, a cousin, their family of someone that are mourning a loss, and it's something that we're collectively doing as well as a nation. That the sheer thought of someone close to you dying is just a very jarring thought. As another side note, I've always been a person who always think to be prepared. So if you are a person who's on the front line, I do recommend getting a will. I don't know that whole process. I'm not an attorney, but I recommend having an idea if you are a person working in these types of industries that expose you to coronavirus. I do recommend speaking to a lawyer. I would do a lot of research. I'm good at research. Isn't Google like the best thing ever? Isn't it? Isn't it like the best thing ever? So Google everything you can and plan out what you're going to do if you're one of those people that work in those positions, or if you're a person who have dependents. If you have any children, you should already have a will in place and all those details. Not the best subject to talk about is death. It's like the reality is we all know we're going to die, correct? But coronavirus has confronted us directly with our own mortality, and it's creating fear and havoc in many different ways. And it's something that just a devastating subject. So let's go ahead. We'll talk about a little bit of coronavirus and give you an update of what I've learned today doing my research. So, did you watch the coronavirus update that the president had today? I always say I recommend watching it directly, because when you watch something directly and it's not filtered, you get to really use your instinct and really understand, okay, do they have a handle on what's going on? Have they told me when we're going to go back to work? What's the seriousness? What's going on? You need to know what's going on. I feel, I honestly feel it's like a startup. I worked with startup companies, and when you work with a startup, you have this idea, you have a strategy, and you put everybody in place, and you're all working together to make something happen. And I feel that's what is going on with the Corona Task Force. They're creating systems and models, and who's doing a really, really good job, and who's sharp and giving good information and getting everything done. Who's not doing a great job, they try to figure out what to do with that person. So there's all this kind of movement that you feel that's going on behind the scenes. And the leader of the group is our president. Now, he was able to get our economy great. So that tells you that he has a skill there, that if he can get the economy as good as it was, he could probably, most likely, in all reality, figure this out. But the issue is time. The number of cases, it keeps saying, well, it may get worse. What is worse? What is worse? I mean, this is worse. Don't you feel 1,000 people, 500 people, 300? That is worse. So when they said, well, it's going to get really bad. Well, what does really bad mean? So there's just so many questions, and you just don't know. And I don't have a family member close to me that's in the hospital. I do have a really large family, so I probably could figure out who may be affected. But as far as I know, I don't. So I don't have a firsthand account of what's going on in New York, and have an idea of what's needed to help the nurses and the doctors do their job. I just have friends out here I've been talking to and asking them questions about what's going on. But did you guys read the tweet the president did about, I would say about an hour and a half ago? He tweeted about 3M. And apparently, this is a problem. Hannity talked about this. Tucker Carlson talked about this. There were a lot of different people who have talked about this. But it's a really, really valid point. When you go through a really tough time, you really know who the good people are and who the bad people are. And apparently, there are people who are selling needed supplies for our doctors and nurses overseas, because obviously those countries want the same things that we want, and it becomes a bidding war. And if you're a business person and you have a really good life and you have this opportunity, hey, can you sell these masks to this other country? They're going to pay you double more money. People are doing it, and that's a really unfortunate thing. When the coronavirus when I first became aware of it, probably about a month ago, people were texting me, hey, do you know anyone who wants to sell masks? I said, there's no way I want to get involved in that. I don't want to make money. I don't want to profit. I want the mask to go to the people. And honestly, I would just give it to them free. So I don't want to make money off of a mask and equipment. And I just think that's just so wrong. But there are people who are not like me. There are people who like to exploit. And you read about it. Most of the time, people become successful. They exploit a really bad situation, whether it's the economy or something that's not working. They want to exploit that, and they want to take advantage of the opportunity. So if you're a business person, you see this opportunity, you think, oh, I'm going to make all this money. Bad, 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 bad. It's just so unpatriotic. These nurses and doctors, they're saving lives of people they don't even know. These are strangers that come into their life, and they're patients, and they want to make a difference. They don't get paid extra to do this patient over that patient. They're just good, solid, great people. But unfortunately, there's some bad apples. That's one of the tragic things about the human experience. We have a choice. Do we do good or do we do bad? Well, we've survived. We've been here a million years, millions and millions of years. I'm sure we're going to survive it all and follow our better angels, and we'll figure this whole thing out. The good angels always overwin. So I'm praying that the bad people in these powerful positions that are doing a really crappy job and that are selling everything out and are very corrupted, that they're removed, gone, out of there. And the good people rise up. and get in those positions. And so sort of can clear that kind of dark, crappy stuff. And we can get this coronavirus under control, and we could go back to living a happy, productive life full of freedoms that we love. This was so beautiful about being in the United States. God, we had so much freedom. I didn't realize how much freedom I had until I realized I can't go anywhere or do anything because of this coronavirus. So that's one thing. So he talked about 3M. The president tweeted about it. So apparently he's handling it. And we'll find out a little bit more. I've heard some stories, but I guess I'll find a little bit more in the news. It will definitely come out. Ventilators. Now, another thing is mask. One side note. I think it's important to wear a mask. I've been wearing a mask for about a month. Now, when I first heard the news, they were saying, oh, masks are not that important. Then I started reading about it, and one of my friends, who I can't name names, told me this is very, very serious. This is way before everything happened. I didn't even want to believe him. But I knew how smart he was and successful he was and who he knew and what was going on. He has a real strong pulse of what's going on in the world. And everything he said to me, of course, is now happening. So I said, he told me that it was possibly spread much more easily than what will be initially reported. And that's basically what has happened. So today, I realized how right he was. I knew he was right a week ago, but actually when you start to read this, it starts to become clear on why you should wear a mask. So this is what Forbes, this article came out today. It starts out, White House warned coronavirus may spread by talking or breathing. The science isn't clear. You mean talking and breathing? Interesting. Talking and breathing. So at first it was a little droplets and maybe you sneeze, but now standing next to someone, talking and breathing can possibly cause, you could possibly catch coronavirus. So let me go ahead and finish reading a little bit of the article because what states I thought was quite good. It says an expert panel sent a letter to the White House science advisor Kelvin Drogeimer Wednesday saying coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 that causes COVID-19 might spread simply through inhaled breath. Wow. Quote, currently available research supports the possibility that SARS-CoV-2 could be spread by aerosols generated directly by patients' exhalation. The letter from Harvey Feinberg, chair of Standing Committee of Emerging Infectious Diseases 21st Century Health Threats, reads, the letter then continued, citing a few of the most recent studies involving COVID-19. A University of Nebraska Medical Center study found traces of the viral RNA isolation rooms where the patients were cared for, while other details similar findings in samples from hospitals and public spaces in Wuhan, China. The evidence comes with caveats. A plenty, however, as Feinberg acknowledges in a letter, studies cited have not been peer-reviewed, and traces of RNA are not the same as an active virus looking for a host to infect. Quote, while the research at the University of Nebraska Medical Center indicates that viral particles can be spread via bioaerosols, the author stated that finding infectious virus has proved elusive and experiments are ongoing to determine the viral activity in the collected samples. In fact, Dr. Roop, chief of our UMC Division of Infectious Diseases, said the virus doesn't appear to spread like classic airborne spread viruses. Okay, so let me go down a little bit more to the other part. Let's see. Hold on. Quote, here it is. While the current SARS-CoV-2 specific breach is limited, the results of viable studies are consistent with aerosolization of viruses from normal breathing. Feinberg also references another preliminary study under review under viruses CoV2 and finding that wearing surgical face masks can help reduce the transmission of infections. But the study focused on masks worn by infected people rather than asymptomatic people. So that's just a little one of many articles. Broadboard had an article. There's a few other resources as well. And it said possibly it could be longer than 6 feet. Possibly if I'm breathing, suppose I have coronavirus and I'm in at the cash register and I'm standing there and I'm talking and breathing, and you are 6 feet behind me, and I leave the area and leave the store, and then the next person comes, they can breathe that air and bring the SARS and breathe in the coronavirus. So there you go. So that means you had no contact. You were 6 feet away, but yet you breathe the still air because the air in a room is more contained. So when I read that, I became even more serious because I realized if they're mentioning that as a possibility, that's something I should take note and take serious. So my recommendation, if you step out of the house, wear a mask. If you go to a store, I recommend washing all your clothes. So what I've done with my husband, he has to do a whole routine, shoes, everything. I take and I wash it if he does decide to go out, which I highly recommend he doesn't go out. But you know as well as I do, there are those family members who suddenly want to go to the store even though you've gone to the store already. You know those people, right? And you're trying to convince them that, hey, you shouldn't go out, it's the coronavirus. But they're like, no, it's okay. I'm protected, I'll be fine. But you know that they're not conscious of germs. Well, that's the kind of person I'm living with. So just be careful. I'm very mindful. I'm always very particular, but there are going to be people who are not. So if you have someone in your family that isn't, I have a strip. I also go and I wipe down all the car, the doors, the everywhere in the car his hands may have touched. And I come in the house and I clean the doorknobs, the cell phone. I do everything. So please, I recommend you doing it. Another good reason to do wear a mask, and be careful when you take off the mask that your hands don't touch the mask because you have to wash them again, is what if you have coronavirus and you don't know because you're asymptomatic and you don't have any symptoms. So by wearing it helps do some protection. So I think some protection is better than no protection. And if it's your health, and I'm serious about my health, and if you're serious about your health, is something I think that should be done. So that's my theory on why a mask is important. Okay. Ventilators, I think they're going to get a handle on it. They're just working out internal controls. If this state has more ventilators and there's 500 people in the hospital and there's 1,500, their concern is running out of ventilators. So I have a gut feeling in my heart and soul that enough people are hearing about this that the right people will come forth and we will get the right ventilators for everyone involved. That is the end, I think, of the coronavirus part. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on. A good movie to watch, which is a movie I saw a few years ago, which I thought was really, really good, was the movie with Kevin Hart. Did any of you guys see the movie with Kevin Hart? It's called The Upside. And the film came out about in 2017. Oh my God. So what I think is incredible about this movie, if you haven't seen it, it's about someone who can't walk or can't move. And Kevin Hart is their nurse and is a very wealthy guy. I think the movie, what it did for me was, I can't want to give too much away, but it made me feel very connected with my humanity. And I think it's a movie that's really appropriate right now to see with your family and to look at and realize how incredibly precious life is and how incredibly fortunate that we have each other to love and to be together. And I think it's a really good bonding film. And it came out in 2017. It stars Kevin Hart and also Bryan Cranston. He plays the very wealthy guy, and Kevin is absolutely hysterical. And also Nicole Kidman's in it too. Watch it. She's really oh my God, Nicole, isn't she amazing? She's in it as well, and but it's based on another film called The Untouchables that came out many years before. That was a French film. I saw the original film. I thought it was absolutely amazing, but I don't know, something about Kevin Hart was just absolutely funny. So if you really want to see a heartwarming film that's incredibly moving, incredibly interesting, I recommend seeing that as well. Just to point out a couple of people that I look at and read information from, I like Dr. Oz and his show, and he's on a lot of the talk shows. So I always think what he's saying is really amazing. Also, there's Scott Adams, who wrote and created Dilbert. He's a cartoonist, but he's really bright, studied. He's an economist by trade, which I found interesting, but he always has a lot of wonderful things to say about what's going on. I think he has a really good sense and a pulse of what's happening. So I like listening to Scott. On another side note, we're in the middle of this crisis. There's a new uh, information about this food bank. And I'm looking at it now. I don't think I have all the information. I thought I had it all written out. But basically, it's a food bank. If you go to at WC Kitchen and at Feeding America, I think that's the name of their website, or go on their Twitter account. There's some information. They're trying to raise $15 million. I think they raised about $12 million. Oprah is contributed. Also, Leonardo DiCaprio. Isn't Leonardo and Oprah great? Nicest people. And also, there's Leo DiCaprio. There's Oprah, and then there's Stephen Jobs' wife, Lauren, who also have contributed as well. So I recommend checking it out. If you want to give, I think the difficult time at this time is deciding if you are a person and you really want to give, is to make sure that the organization that you do give to is a good organization. Legally, they don't have to give all the money to the specific cause. So it's good to do a little bit of research before you do give money. I'm very careful in what I do, and I highly recommend doing that before you give money. I think this organization is quite good. And I recommend if anyone wants to donate and help America, that's great. I know that food banks across the states are needing help. So if you can donate and help out in that area, that would be a great idea as well. Because there's so many people unemployed. It's just terrible. It's just heartbreaking. Can you imagine you just got a raise and you're so excited? I have one family member was about to get married. Can't get married. Don't know what to do. How can you get married and there's no one that can come to your wedding? So it's really like a feeling someone just pulled the rug from under you, but you don't know when it's going to end. And you're on the edge of your seat every day wondering, when will I have a normal life? What will normal look like? Will I have to clean my hands? I assume a lot, because we're going to be back in public. So there's this whole dilemma of what's going on there. So take another sip real quick. I am creating a list of my favorite comedies and sci-fi. Love, love, love sci-fi. If you haven't seen Invisible Man, you must see it. It was really good. Bad Boys for Life is another really fun movie by Michael Bay. But also watch, I think it's either Six Underground or Underground Six. It's on Netflix, and Ryan Reynolds. It has the best car scene ever. Best opening scene, car chase I've ever seen in a film. So it's a Michael Bay film. It's really, really good. And of course, Ryan is always wonderful. He's always funny and interesting. He's always a good actor. Oh my God, didn't you love him in Deadpool? Oh my goodness, Deadpool was amazing. The first one was great. Second one, just love the series. But go see those two films. The one that I just mentioned by Kevin Hart, I'm not sure where you can stream it. I don't know if it's on Amazon. I don't know where you can stream it for free. I know you can stream it, but we're free. I don't know. I always write free streaming, or I Google it, and I usually can figure out the best deal where I can find to Google and see a film. So that's usually how I figure out what to do. Do you guys like my fireplace? Isn't it really cool? Isn't it cool? So Margaux with Margaux. It is an interesting idea. So my husband knew I liked Margaux, and I said, honey, what should I call my show? And he said, Margaux with Margaux. And I thought, okay, but I like it. So that's where the name comes from. We'll talk about wine at some point. Now, I did read this article in Architectural Digest today, just as a side note. And it talked about creating dinner parties for yourself. So if you're with your family, pull out the nice china, pull out those elegant napkins, and have a wonderful dinner. So my husband and I are going to have date night on Friday. He's going to surprise me with a meal. I'm going to be in the other room, and he's going to cook something lovely, and then we're going to have music and make this like a wonderful moment in time where we went away on some romantic moment. So I think it's a really, really great idea. It's a really fascinating idea to think of ideas of what you could do creatively to make you feel as though you're still living a really full life and that you're doing interesting and fun things. Now, yesterday on the show, I talked about two books, Think and Grow Rich and A Man Thinketh. The deal stands true. If you want a copy of either copy of those ebooks, email my assistant, GraysonKY@gmail.com. I'll send you the free ebook that gives you something else. I think it's really good because the power of your thoughts, the power of your words, and how you can manifest what you want in the physical reality. We're all creative beings. And if you're wealthy, there's an avalanche of wealth waiting for you, waiting for you. You just have to know where to plug in at the right time in the right place and have a sense of when that moment comes and then capitalize on it and make something happen. Um, I did run over some business ideas today. They were so depressing and morbid. If I were to tell you what they were, you'll say, oh my God. I actually did consider, because I'm so bored, I thought, oh, maybe I should get another business. But I decided against it and see how this whole thing plays out. Now, if you want an SBA loan, apparently tomorrow on the website, start applying right away. And if you're a sole proprietorship, meaning you have your own company, you're an individual, I believe that's going to be out next week. I recommend reading and researching as much as you can and have a lot of your questions answered. There's a lot of good people out there that are really trying to make sure that people do get the money that they need and deserve. And I'm hoping that everything goes well. But like anything new, there's always kinks and problems along in the process. So the earlier you start on those things, the better. I wish you guys so much love and happiness and hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. I had this Asian salad. It was absolutely wonderful. And a little bit of wine. And it was just divine. So thank you guys for joining me. I really, really appreciate your love and support. I am going to start my own YouTube channel. I am going to do my own podcast. We have so many other fun, exciting things that we could share and talk about. I got to think of more fun stuff to talk about because coronavirus has gotten so boring. But I read about it all day because it's everywhere. So I want to talk about things that are a little bit more exciting and interesting. I love you guys. Stay positive, stay strong. We're going to get through this together and have a good day and a better tomorrow. Take care.